mean, like, I could do one, like, maybe when I'm talking about just like a recent victory.
Yeah, that's
Which is
good.
Coming on in like 15 guys.
Okay.
So the headphones on, or? Maybe not.
You can, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, is that okay?
It's okay.
Is it too loud?
I think it's okay. It's maybe a little bit loud, but it's okay.
Okay. So, next time ask how his ear, okay, cause I don't want you walking in the front here. So he says it's okay, but at the break, let's check him. Welcome to the show, everyone. You know, I talk about everybody else but me on this show, and I love the show because it's got so much information for people out there. Maybe it's something that you need now, maybe it's something you need later, you never know. We're live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. My first guest has been on with me now a few times. I have with me Attorney Josh Lopez, and he is the owner of the law firm of Joshua A. Lopez. Now, I want you first to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, okay? What you do and what we're gonna focus on today.
So my name is Josh Lopez. I'm an attorney here in Arizona. I was actually from California, where I went to school. I'm licensed in California, Arizona, and Nevada. I've had my practice now for almost 10 years. I primarily practice criminal defense, and I'm excited to be here today. Thank you.
I am too, to have you. One of the things that we wanted to talk about is, to me, that's very important, because everybody looks for this now. 5-star rated everywhere you are.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that. I want you to tell everybody what the difference between going to a big firm compared to going to a boutique firm such as yourself.
So when someone goes to a big firm, a lot of times what happens is they'll call in, they're not even speaking to the attorney. They're speaking to some intake specialist, they don't know anything about the law, and then maybe you do end up hiring them, and then you're passed off from person to person. Anytime you call in, you're not getting your answers, you gotta wait for a call back, you don't get called back. That's not how it works with me though. I am a solo practitioner, I handle all of my cases from start to finish. I'm the one that answers the phone. And the only time I don't answer the phone is when I'm in court or maybe on the other line with someone, in which case I'm gonna get back to my, whoever's calling. So what that means is that once someone signs up with me, I'm the one who answers the phone, answers the questions. Doesn't matter if it's during business hours or after business hours, including the weekends, but I handle my cases from start to finish, filing all the documents in the cases, going through all the evidence, and then completing the case.
And you happen to have a great record. So we want to talk about that too.
Thank you.
Because that's very important when it comes to criminal defense.
Yeah, so a lot of the times, every case that I take is a case where I think that I'm going to be able to add value. I don't like to take someone's case where I'm not going to be able to add value. And when I take a case, I'm looking to see what can we do to get the best possible result. So when someone calls into my office, the first thing I need to know is from their point of view, like what's going on, what happened, when do you have court? But I want to figure out from what they're saying, is this a case that I can add value to? Because if I can't, I want to let them know up front. And then we can go from there. Is this a damage control case where we're looking to get the best possible result, avoid stricter fines, penalties, things like that? Or is this a case where we're looking to get this completely dismissed? So it really depends on the facts of the case, and I only like to take cases where I'm going to be able to help somebody.
Now, he would like you to not just check him out on his website, which is theattorneyjosh.com, but also to follow him on Instagram, which is azlegalboss. You can check him out there too, and follow him. And maybe it's not you, but maybe it's someone you know, and that's what networking is all about. And important when you are listening to this, first of all, anybody who might have this happen to you or has, you should put this number in your phone, because having an attorney that you can contact is the first number one thing you gotta do, right?
That's correct, yes.
So his phone number is 480-630-0799. Again, he is 5-star rated everywhere. He works valley-wide. He's licensed in California, Arizona, and Nevada. He's got 10 years of criminal defense experience behind you. Now, we're gonna talk about domestic violence today, okay? And where that comes in, because that's also criminal defense.
So with domestic violence, what happens is any crime that someone commits, almost any crime, if the victim is a domestic relationship, what that means is that they're either living together, it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, or a spouse or some romantic relationship or some family. And what happens is if there's that sort of relationship and a crime occurs, then they can add an allegation, which is domestic violence, which is not in and of itself a crime, at least here in Arizona. But that would add stricter penalties, and one of the major penalties with that is that if there's a conviction for domestic violence, then there is automatic domestic violence classes, and gun rights can be taken away. They will be taken away.
How easy is it for someone to get arrested for domestic violence?
It's very easy because all it requires is like a push, a shove, something like that, screaming at somebody for too long because that can be considered disorderly conduct. It's very easy and it happens all the time. It happens to ordinary people.
I want to say this, get it right out, because it's so different today than it was years ago. You yelled at somebody, it was no big deal, right? But today it's different. And also, I mean, I think the last time you came on, it could be something as simple as slamming doors. You've said that. You've also said, even if you take your phone, you're so angry and you just throw it at the wall.
Correct. And then it hits the wall, maybe it damages the wall because both people live there. Well, now they had an interest in the property, and that is considered disorderly conduct or criminal damage.
Well, you see, you never know when something like this can happen, because let me say, usually, and you have to say, how many times when you're dealing with somebody with domestic violence have they been drinking too?
Right, that happens all the time. After somebody gets home from going out with friends, maybe they had too much to drink at a bar. A lot of the cases that I handle do involve alcohol, not all of them. And actually, a lot of the cases I handle, it doesn't mean that even the person who called 911 wants the other individual to be arrested. They kind of just wanted the situation to calm down. But if police do an investigation and they have evidence that that a crime was committed, someone will be arrested.
It's scary out there today, but you do want to make sure that you do have somebody like Josh who can make sure that, number one, if somebody is going to be, let's say, have different fines that they're going to have, or different things that they make them. You said go to classes. What else do they do? Obviously, jail time.
Well, yeah. So it's a class 1 misdemeanor. What that means, and this is unlikely to happen, but what it means is that you can get 6 months jail, 3 years probation, $2,500 in fines and fees. Again, with domestic violence, there's enhanced penalties like the classes. You lose gun rights if you're convicted. So my job when someone hires me is to get to the bottom of what happened and see, is there a self-defense argument? Was it really the other person that should have been arrested? Does the state have everything they need to get a conviction if we were to go to trial? And not all cases have to go to trial. Sometimes these things can be negotiated out. Just on Monday, I was able to get a complete dismissal for something like this. So there's different things that can be worked out, and it's not like we're just going to court one time and that's that. It's a process. The whole process generally takes between 4 and 6 months.
So what are some of the more frequent cases that you have handled lately?
Well, aside from like domestic violence related crimes where they add that allegation, assault, disorderly conduct, DUI, aggravated assault, felonies, drug cases. I handle all sorts of cases. Those are just to name a few.
So we're going to go around that today a little bit and talk about some of that, because criminal defense is now even bigger, especially when we're talking about the holidays. They are literally around the corner right now, and a lot of people
drink and drive.
They drink and drive. No matter what they say or what you tell them to do, they still do that.
Definitely do not answer any questions if you're pulled over by the police, aside from your name, giving them your license, registration, insurance. Like, that's mandatory. But aside from that, you never want to volunteer any information. You don't want to do any of the field sobriety tests. A lot of times officers will say, I'm just trying to make sure you're safe to drive. But really, they're doing an investigation at that point, and they're looking to build evidence against you to give to the prosecutor so they can prove a DUI in court.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's a zero tolerance here. Is it still zero?
Well, what zero tolerance actually means is that if you're under 21 and you have any alcohol in your system, it's automatic DUI. For anybody that's 21 and over, impaired to the slightest degree, and or .08 or greater.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing, a lot of us do drink and drive. A lot of us get into trouble with other things criminally, right? It happens.
It happens all the time. And again, it happens to ordinary people who've never been in trouble before, or maybe they had something a long time ago, but ordinary people, it happens.
It does happen. So the number to call is 480-630-0799. Check him out. It's theattorneyjosh.com. Also on Instagram, follow him. It's AZ Legal Boss. He's 5-star rated everywhere. You like it so far?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're gonna keep on going, okay? So we kind of went through this. I wanna make sure I did some of these things. Let's go into, we'll go more narrow and deep on the criminal process, okay?
Okay.
Okay, you kind of answered this one already too. Okay, and this is also important. When you were working with people, you know, obviously it's trying to get them to have the best outcome
Right.
as possible, right? And when you take a case and I mean, certainly there's things that happen, bad things happen to good people, right? And for you, what would be something that, like, if somebody has never done anything like this before, but they did something really bad? I mean, like something
Is
where
that a
they,
character?
say that again?
Like, is that a character?
Is that a character?
What would happen?
What would happen? Can you get, I mean, is that something that you can change that outcome on, or, you know?
Yeah, so a lot of times, and we can talk about this too, but I'll draft something called a mitigation packet or a
Mhm.
deviation request. So what happens is, and let's say like the evidence is not in their favor, like we go through it, that doesn't mean I can't help them.
It's
Because there's a
important.
range of sentences somebody can get.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're doing is, like, that'd be like a damage control situation. We're trying to cut down and get them the best possible result. And to do that, again, it's not like I just go into court and do nothing. We get character letters, we get an autobiography, we get accomplishments. We show the state, the prosecutor, like why this person deserves like a second chance essentially. We try to mitigate everything. And there could be factual issues, but what we're talking about in that regard is just mitigation. Where we're trying to show them that they're a good person, that they have remorse, that this isn't gonna happen again.
Mhm.
So I do that a lot too.
Right, cause that has to happen a lot. I mean, people snap.
I mean, and those are like good people. There's people I represent that are like repeat offenders, and in certain circumstances, there's only so much you can do, and that's what I'm saying. Like I like to be upfront with people and say, like, okay, this is what we're going for.
Did you say
To
frequent
be like
defenders?
realistic, repeat offenders. Because then there's only so much sometimes you can do. But again, you always gotta look at the facts, like, do they have the evidence they need to get a conviction? And if they do, then what's the next best possible result?
Mhm.
Negotiation.
So everybody, at the break, we always talk to a little bit to Facebook land out there, and I learn so much more every single time we do that from my guest that's on. And one of the things that we were talking about is, let's say somebody did it. The evidence shows they did it, whatever that is. Can you still help them?
Yeah, definitely, I can still help them. And so to be clear, a lot of time, not every time, but most of the times when I talk with my clients and when someone's needing a criminal defense attorney, they did do something wrong. Not every single time. But just because that happens doesn't mean I can't help them. There is a process, and it's always the state's burden to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. They don't always have the evidence needed to do that. And sometimes witnesses don't want to testify. That can cut in our favor.
Mhm.
Not only that, there's negotiations that can happen, so not all cases have to go to trial. In addition, a lot of times what I do is I create mitigation or deviation requests for the prosecutor to show that my client's a good person, that this was an out of character experience for them, that it's not gonna happen again, they're remorseful. We put all of that together, we send it to the prosecutor, and that's how I get very good results. So it's not like we're just going in there one time, chit-chatting, and that's it. No, we have to send them a formal request, and then that kind of starts the negotiation process, and then we go from there. And then we get some options, and then we decide, okay, do we want to take this? Are they going to dismiss it? Is there a way to get it dismissed, or are we taking this to trial?
Well, also, that goes back to how great it is to be with somebody who, like you, a boutique firm, you do all the work from start to finish, you said. And what's great about that is when you go to those big firms, you're just like in there with everybody else, and they like kind of just get you through,
They
right?
just treat you like a number. I don't
Right.
treat you like a number. I care about all my clients, and again, I only take cases that I can handle. I keep all my clients' numbers on my cell phone. I want to get them the best result. I care for them.
Now, again, that number to call them is 480-630-0799, and I say put this phone number in your phone. Maybe it's you or someone that you know that might need this, and like he said, it can happen to anybody. You can check him out on his website, which is theattorneyjosh.com. Also, he is 5-star rated everywhere, and you can follow him on Instagram at azlegalboss. I do have to say, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are frequent repeat offenders. No, I'm only kidding, but honestly, there are people that do that too. How do you handle that?
Same kind of thing. When I speak to the person from day one, I get their story. What happened from their point of view, why it happened, maybe why it won't happen again. Again, there can be factual issues. If there's factual issues, like constitutional violations or other factual issues, maybe it wasn't that person, or maybe they were under duress or necessity, maybe there's some affirmative defense, we want to attack that. But if the evidence doesn't cut in their favor, especially after we get all the discovery, that'd be like the police reports, body cam pictures, all of that, we go through it and we see that, look, if we go to trial, this is going to be an uphill battle, it's better to just negotiate this out. Again, we'll want to create that mitigation packet or deviation request. We can always do a settlement conference with the prosecutor and the judge and see if something can be worked out there. And again, that's another way to resolve something and get a favorable result without going to trial.
I have to ask you, this is not on your paperwork, so I want to just ask you, I'm thinking of something. So somebody is listening, maybe they already were working with an attorney, but they're saying, he's not doing that, can they call you?
They can call me. It kind of depends where they are in the process, because if they're getting ready for trial, it's hard to step in at that point and be ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're early on in the process, or maybe in the middle of the process and it's not going their way, they can always give me a call. And I'm happy to give a free consultation and let that person know whether I can help or not.
So again, that phone number is 480-630-0799. How long does a criminal defense, whole case take?
Well, generally like 4 to 6 months, but I just finished one that took a year, so it really
They must have
depends
did
on the
something
facts.
though.
I mean, yeah.
We can talk a little bit about, some of your stories that you might have, because they're success stories. This is what they need to hear, right?
Right. Like one of the recent successes I had was just on Monday, I got a case completely dismissed. That was a DV case. So in that specific situation, I was representing a lady who had children, and her boyfriend had gotten into an argument. They both grabbed for something, it fell, it almost hit one of the kids. And all my client was trying to do was pull away the boyfriend from the kids so that there was no destruction of anything else, so that nobody got hurt or anything. And then there's some more stuff that I'd rather not go into, but she eventually got charged, he got charged too, but I got her case dismissed.
Now, I want to also say this to people that are, because we're getting to that time when people do drink and drive, even when they don't normally do that, right? They might be at a party, decide to have a drink, and you happen to go home, driving home, and you have younger kids in the car.
That makes it an aggravated DUI.
That's aggravated DUI, and then what the different levels, there's different levels of these things, and if you have kids in your car and you're driving and you've had some drink or whatever, that's not good.
Correct. So there's different levels of DUI. So in the misdemeanor range, we have impaired to the slightest degree, 0.08 or greater, 0.15, which is an extreme DUI, and then 0.20. That's the highest level misdemeanor DUI. And then it can be an aggravated DUI, like if you were driving the wrong way on the road, if it's a third DUI within 7 years, if you have minors in the car. So there's different ways where DUI can then be aggravated, and the one that you had just mentioned, that's a way where it can be aggravated.
You gotta be careful out there, but like I said, people don't even think about those things, right? You're thinking, oh, my children are too young, I shouldn't do that. You shouldn't drink and drive no matter what.
Correct.
but we do.
And then when that happens, an aggravated DUI, what that is, it's a felony. That means you could go to prison for something like that.
Wow, so you wouldn't want that to happen, and you would also want a 5-star rated attorney to help you, and that's what Josh is.
And even if it's, like, even in those situations, again, it's not like we can't help. There are things that we can do, things that can be negotiated. We can maybe get that reduced down to a misdemeanor. It just depends on the facts and putting in that mitigation or deviation request, speaking to the prosecutor. It's a whole process, and it's not a fast one.
When someone hires you, what's the process after that, and how do you handle your clients?
So after somebody hires me, like we've already done the intake and all of that, the first thing I do is file something with the court. Let's assume this is the beginning of the case. So I'm filing a notice of appearance that lets the court know and the prosecutor's office know that my client is represented by an attorney. We file a not guilty plea, pleading them not guilty, denying any and all allegations. We file a discovery request and something else called a notice of disclosures. That gets the process going. Eventually, we'll start getting the discovery in, which would be the police reports, body cam pictures, anything that the state has that they would use against my client if it was to go to trial. We need to go through that, look at the strengths and weaknesses of the case. At the same time, we're getting character letters, building that deviation request, and those are the major things that we start out with.
Now, I mentioned drinking and driving because that's probably the only thing my mind would think of when it comes to criminal, but there's a lot more.
There is a lot
I want
more.
you to just kind of say some of the different things that you would handle that goes under criminal defense.
So a lot of the times they get fights that happen like in downtown Scottsdale or something like that. Maybe someone is here on vacation, they don't need to be, but that's something I get a lot. Assault, disorderly conduct, trespassing. People are asked to leave a store or an establishment, they don't leave right away. Now they get the police are called, now they trespass him with a criminal trespass notice. Again, like assault, that can be aggravated. That can be aggravated if it's against a government official, maybe the police. I get resisting arrest. All sorts of crimes, so all of that falls under the
Crime
things
is
that you know.
crime. And let me tell you something, folks. Like you said before, things happen to good people. It just happens.
It does. A lot of times alcohol is involved when that happens, or someone just made a poor decision when they ordinarily wouldn't do that, and it happens.
So the number to call him is 480-630-0799. He is 5-star rated everywhere. You can Google him at Attorney Josh. He is licensed in California, Arizona, and Nevada. He works valley-wide. He has 10 years of criminal defense experience, and he treats you differently than these big people. I know you look up at in the sky on the freeways and all you see is one after the other, but they are not the same as working with somebody who's going to take your case and walk you through this from start to finish, was what you do. What are your final words?
Well, if anyone has any questions for me, again, I give free consultations. I'm happy to let you know whether I believe that I can help you or not. Again, I don't like taking cases where I can't help somebody. So if you give me a call, I'll give you a free consultation.
And also, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's someone that you know. Give him this information. Also, I also implore people to put the phone number in your phone. We're getting to that time of year where people are going to start doing things that they normally don't do, maybe drink and drive, or even if you get into a fight, anything. There's so many things that can happen. Please make sure you go to his website, which is theattorneyjosh.com. The phone number to put in your phone is 480-630-0799. He is 5-star rated everywhere. Go onto Instagram. You can see him and follow him there at AZ Legal Boss.
Thank you.
Hang tight.